Good morning everyone and welcome to this week's Kids Church. Now, do you remember what we were looking at last time on Kids Church? We were learning about how Noah obeyed God. Let's have a quick recap of the last few weeks. So first, God created the heavens and the earth out of nothing, and then he filled the earth with plants, animals, and finally humans, Adam and Eve. Now, Adam and Eve broke God's only rule and brought sin into the world. God sent them out of the Garden of Eden. Now, over many years, the humans forgot about God and they broke all of God's rules. And this made God sad, and he decided to destroy everything on the earth in a flood. There was, though, one man who loved God and was faithful to him, and that man was Noah. God told Noah to build an ark so that he and his family would be saved, and that they would save 2 of each of the animals so that they could start the world again. We left the story last week where Noah and his family and all of the animals were on the boat and it started to rain. So that's us all caught up. Shall we see what happened next? I think we have some footage of Noah and his wife on the boat. Let's watch them now.
Oh, come and sit down, Noah love. Have a cup of coffee, won't you? You've been feeding animals all morning.
Yes, I have. I really do with a cuppa. That's hard work, and I'm almost 101 now, you know.
Actually, you're almost 601. I think the old age is getting to you. Yes, well, sit down and have a cuppa and let the boys do it for a while you have a rest. How long is it since we've been on this boat?
Just over 10 months since God shut the ark door and all the rain started.
That was just after you had the interview with that lovely sandy beaches, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. She looks a bit like you think, if you had glasses on.
Don't be silly, Noah. I think old age is affecting your eyesight too. So how much longer do you think we'll be on here? The smell is getting worse and I'm really not sure how much longer the food's going to last.
Well, we've been on this mountain for 2 months. 5 months. For 2 months we'll be able to see other mountain tops around, so the water's definitely going down, isn't it?
I just wish it would go down a bit quicker, if I'm honest. I mean, I'm really glad that God decided to save us and all, don't get me wrong. But I just never realised how much skunks stink. The other thing is, there's never any peace. I mean, the owls are hooting all through the night. Then there's the dawn chorus where all the birds are singing, and there's always some animal making a noise. The hyenas, well, they never stop laughing. And when they all go to bed, well, it's the owls again, isn't it? And not to mention those wolves going all night.
I might try sending a dove out and see what happens. I sent one before, do you remember me telling you? First time I sent one, it came back straight away. There was nowhere for it to even land, I suppose. And then I sent it again a week later and it brought an olive leaf, so we could have another go at that, see if it's any better.
That sounds like a good idea, love. I mean, it hasn't all been bad on here, though, has it?
No, there have been some funny moments too. Do you remember when we thought we'd lost one of the bats?
Yeah, and we found it hanging upside down from the rail in the wardrobe. Hey, and what about that time Ham moved that bag of grain and found that one of the mice had gnawed a hole in the corner of the bag?
Oh yes, that caused a whole trail of animals behind it. It was a bit like when they first came onto the ark, wasn't it?
Oh, do you remember that? It seems so long ago now. It took ages though, didn't it? I mean, the cheetahs were on pretty fast.
Yes, and the greyhounds.
But the tortoises and the snails, they're so slow.
Oh, but none of them were as bad as the sloths. Oh, they kept stopping to take a nap.
I think that when we get off this boat, I will need a really long nap, Noah. Oh, hey Noah.
Yes, dear?
Do you think that when we get off this boat, maybe we should get ourselves a pet?
Wow, wasn't that great to see what was going on the boat? We'll hear what happens next once we've spent some time singing and dancing and praising God. Let's see you all on your feet and really worshipping God.
There was a time, back in time, when nobody was doing right. They were lost, telling lies. Oh, it was an awful sight. You could say no, Just you wait and see. It's gonna start again with you because of your love for me. All because no one knew God, no one loved God, no one was God's friend. No one knew God, no one loved God, no one was God's friend. Yada-da, yada-da, you are here, moving in our midst. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you, I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Whoa, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you, I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Whoa, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you, I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Whoa, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Whoa. Whoa. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Sing along now. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Whoa, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. That is who you are.
So, all in all, Noah and his family and the animals spent over a year on the ark. Can you imagine? They didn't have tablets or computers or phones to play on. With all those animals, it must have smelt quite bad too. Oh. They also had no idea when they would get back to dry land. They might have felt a little bit like we do when we wonder if life will ever get back to normal after coronavirus. They had no way of knowing. They just trusted God. Let's find out what happened next.
Stories of the Bible. Noah and the Flood. This is Noah.
Hey!
Noah was a good man who tried to do the right thing.
Yeah!
But in the time when Noah lived, he was the only man on earth who was doing the right thing. All the other people on earth were doing evil things and hurting each other. This made God very sad. So God said that he was going to send a flood to the earth that would destroy every living thing on earth because he was sorry he ever made them. But God decided to save Noah and his family. God told Noah to build a boat and fill it with 2 of every kind of animal and bird.
Colors, birds, moss, okay, all here.
Noah did just that, and then Noah and his whole family boarded the boat and waited for the flood to come. The rain fell hard for 40 days and 40 nights.
Whoa!
Water covered the whole earth, and the boat floated safely on the surface. Water covered even the highest mountains on earth, but Noah and his family were saved. God remembered Noah and all the animals on the boat. God sent a wind to blow across the earth, and the flood began to go away. After 5 months, the boat came to rest on a mountaintop. A few months later, the other mountains could be seen. 40 days later, Noah opened a window and released a raven. The bird flew back and forth until the flood had dried up. He also sent a dove out to see if it could find dry ground, but the dove couldn't find a place to land because there was still water on the ground. So the dove returned to the boat.
Oh, hello again.
After another 7 days, Noah sent the dove out again. This time, it came back with an olive leaf.
Oh, bingo.
So Noah knew that the floodwaters were almost gone. A week later, he sent the dove out again, and it didn't come back. So many months after the flood began, Noah opened the covering of the boat and saw that the ground was drying. He waited 2 more months, and at last, the earth was dry. Then God said to Noah, "Leave the boat, all of you. Release the animals so they can be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth."
Okay.
So Noah, his family, and all the animals finally left the boat.
See ya.
Noah built an altar to the Lord to make a sacrifice to God. God was pleased with Noah's offering and said to himself that he would never again destroy every living thing on earth. God blessed Noah and his sons and promised them that he would never send another flood. He gave them the rainbow in the sky as a sign of this promise to Noah, his family, and all of mankind.
So, God sent a rainbow to show that he made a promise. In the Bible, promises are often called covenants, but God made a promise that he would never flood the earth again to destroy it. Each time we see a rainbow, we can remember that God made that promise.
Right, now, I've asked Esther to come and help me with this bit of Kids Church.
Hi!
Hi, Esther.
Hi.
Right, we're thinking about promises. Could you tell me, what do we mean when we make a promise to somebody? So if you promise me that you're going to tidy your bedroom, what does it mean?
I do it.
Do you definitely do it if you made a promise?
Yes, I definitely do it.
That's right. Well, it means that we'll do what we said we would do. Sometimes, though, that doesn't happen, does it? Sometimes a promise gets...
broken.
Esther, can you rip up that promise to show how easily they can be broken?
Oh my gosh. Ah!
Right, sometimes, Esther, do you break a promise?
Of course.
Right, well, rip that one to show us
Oh,
when we
wow.
break promises. Quick.
Ah!
That's it. it. Do sometimes people break promises that they've made to you?
Yes.
Oh, break that promise then. Let's see that promise broken. And do Mummy and Daddy sometimes break their promises?
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes. Go on then, rip that one. That's the Mummy and Daddy one. Sometimes it might not be our fault when we break a promise. We might have promised to go somewhere. Go on, rip that one. And the car breaks down, so we can't do it. And then that's broken. Keeping promises is actually quite hard. Do you want to rip that one?
Yes, please.
Go on then. But God's promises are different. Esther, can you try and break this promise up like you did with the others? Can you do it?
No.
What do you mean you can't do it?
I cannot do it.
Are you trying hard enough?
Yes.
What about if you do your best concentrating face? Go on, now try and rip it. No. Can you do it?
Yeah.
Can you rip it?
No.
No. And there's a good reason for that, Esther. Because God doesn't break his promises. Ever. And when we see a rainbow in the sky, we can always remember that God doesn't break his promises, can't we?
Yeah.
So let's spend some time now worshipping God and singing and worshipping.
But why does God don't break his promises?
Because God is special and he can keep all his promises.
I didn't know that.
Let's meet Noah, a very good man. God like Noah and had a great plan. God said, Noah, you should build a boat this high, this long, and wish so it floats, oh yeah. God told Noah, fill this boat with animals. Tigers, giraffes, elephants, and camels. 2 by 2 on the ark they'll go. Don't forget your family and corn and potatoes, yeah. The rain came down, but the ark stayed strong. Floating Noah's family and animals along, yeah. After 40 days, a great wind came and put a stop to all the rain, oh yeah. Noah sent a dove to check if it was time. When it didn't come back, he knew it was all fine. So all of the animals, every bird and man, stepped off the ark and walked on dry land. They found new homes in trees and mud, and thank God for the ark that kept them safe in the flood. The rain came down, but the ark stayed strong. Floating Noah's family and animals along. Woo! God said, I love you so, so much, and I'll show you by putting a rainbow in the sky. Oh, yeah. The rain came down, but the ark stayed strong. Floating Noah's family and animals along. The rain came down, but the ark stayed strong. Floating Noah's family and animals every storm of life, I know you're by my side. So I am holding on to your promises. You are the God who holds my future, all my dreams. So I am holding on. You'll never let go of me. You gave me hope when hope was all but gone. A second chance to sing a brand new song. You opened up my eyes to see. You rescued me, rescued me. You showed the way when there was no way out. Cleared up my mind when you erased all doubt. You made me strong when I was weak. You rescued me, rescued me. Through every storm of life, I know you're by my side. So I am holding on to your promises. You are the God who holds my future, all my dreams. So I am holding on. You'll never let go of me. I'm holding on to you. You are my God. I know you'll see me through. Hey! You are my God. I'm holding on to you. You are my God. I know you'll see me through. Hey! You are my God. I'm holding on to you. You are my God. You are my God. I know you'll see me through. Hey! You are my God. I'm holding on to you. Hey! You are my God. I know you'll see me through. Hey! Through every storm of life, I know you're by my side. So I am holding on to your promises. You are the God who holds my future, all my dreams. So I am holding on. You'll never let go of me. I know you're by my side. So I am holding on to your promises. You are the God who holds my future, all my dreams. So I am holding on. You'll never let go of me. I'm holding on to you. You are my God. I know you'll see me through. Hey! You are my God. I'm holding on to you. You are my God. I know you'll see me through. Hey!
So God keeps his promises. Now the Bible is full of promises to us, the children of God. I'm just going to look at 5 of those for now, but you can look at more in your Bibles. Now the first one is that God will love you forever. Psalm 136 verse 1 says, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His faithful love endures forever." Isn't it great to know that God will always love us? Now the second promise to remember is this: God will comfort you. Isaiah 49 verse 13 says, "For the Lord has comforted his people and will have compassion on them in their suffering." Now it's great to know that God will be with us whatever we're going through. The third promise is that God will never leave us. Hebrews 13 verse 5 says, "God has said, I will never fail you, I will never abandon you." Now isn't it great to know that we're never alone and that God is always with us? The fourth promise I want us to think about is that God will keep us safe. In Nahum chapter 1 verse 7 it says, "The Lord is good. When people are in trouble, they can go to him for safety." God, the creator of the universe, will be there to keep us safe. And the last promise I want us to remember is perhaps the most important one to remember, because it makes all of the other promises mean more, and that is that God keeps his promises. In Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 9 it says, "He is a faithful God who keeps his covenant for 1,000 generations." In case remembering all of these is a bit difficult, I've put them in the resource packs that I've sent out to you, or if you're from Mount Pleasant. If you're not, then you can find them on the website at www.mountpleasantchurch.com or follow the link that's below this video.
So, to help us remember God's promises, I've asked Esther to help me with our
Hi
prayers today.
everyone.
I'm going to use Skittles because you all know how much I love to use sweets. Now, each colour represents one of the promises.
Yes.
So, shall we pray? The red Skittle reminds us that God will love us forever.
Thank you, God, for loving us forever.
The orange Skittle reminds us that God will comfort us when times are hard.
Thank you, God, for comforting us when days are hard.
The yellow Skittle reminds us that God will never leave us.
Thank you, God, for not leaving us and staying by our side.
The green Skittle reminds us that God will always keep us safe.
And it's got a sup on it.
So for safe.
Yeah.
Are you going to say the prayer for that one?
Dear God, thank you for keeping us safe in all times when things are hard.
Good girl. And the purple Skittle reminds us that God will never break his promises.
Thank you, God, for never, ever break your promises.
Okay, now if I pull this down, you'll be able to see the Skittles on the plate. Can you see those? Let's just
Yes.
move them out a bit, look. Now if I pour some of this warm water on the Skittles.
Wow. It looks so cool.
Right, and in just a second we'll see what happens. Now you can have a go at this at home. You can have some Skittles and just pour some warm water over it. And then after a little time, can you see
Yeah.
what's happening?
Oh, wow.
It's making
A rainbow.
a rainbow.
Come on.
Like God made a rainbow to show that he would keep his promises so that we would always remember. Well, that's all we've got time for this week at Kids Church. Have a good week and we will see you next week. Until then, remember that God always keeps his promises.
Can I eat all the
Bye. Yes, you may.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I know God made me, and I know God loves me, and he knows what's best for me, 'cause he knows every single thing, and I believe his promise is true, 'cause everything he says he will do. On a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and every day I know I can trust in him and his promises. I can trust in him and his promises. Oh, I know God made me, and I know God loves me. Yeah, he knows what's best for me, 'cause he knows every single thing, and I believe his promise is true, 'cause everything he says he will do.